Let's do my January wrap up based on my 2026 goals. So, if you didn't know, I have a video up now on my channel where I discuss my 2026 reading goals, and they're not that extensive, at least not to me, and they are attainable. And I think for January, I hit the ground running. Side note, I'm still battling after flight sickness, so bear with my voice, maybe a little sniffling. I'm gonna try to cut everything out if I cough or anything, but bear with me. Yeah, so I had 10 goals for the year of 2026. The year that we are currently in, there are 10 goals. And yeah, let me give you some stats. Let me give you some stats and then we'll get into the books. So, my first goal was to read 100 of my own physical TBR books. It's safe to say for January, I read 26. So, we are a quarter of the way through, and I am ecstatic about that. My second goal is to go to the library once a month, and I did that in January. There is also a book that we're going to discuss here. Two books, actually. My overall reading goal for the month for the year is 100 books. And what I've read of that, what I've chipped away of that 100 is 30. So I've read 30 books in January, which means I only have 70 books left to accomplish this goal. Keep that in mind. I wanted to finish 12 series that I began prior to 2026, and I accomplished that by reading and completing 3 of those series in January. The next goal was to read 6 new to me Black authors, and I've accomplished that already. So I've read about 6 or 7. So that goal is now completed. I no longer have to keep up with this stat. I still may say this is a new to me author, but I've read from 6 new to me authors. The next one was to read 6 of my special edition books. And by special edition, I just mean if I ordered them as special editions. So that would be my Fairy Loot, my Illuma Crate. Oh, and Baddies. Yeah, Fairy Loot, Illuma Crate, and Baddies books. And I only read one of those this month. Another one of my goals was to read outside of the house more. And in January, I accomplished that 10 times fold. You know, I read in the airport, I read at the hotel, I read sitting next to the pool, I read all over the place. Trust me, I was all over the place in January. Also, I don't know about you, but all of those stuff, my Kindle situations, I am always a part of them, whether they're Black romance, stuff your Kindle, or any other stuff your Kindle. I'm probably going to be a part, but that means that I own so many Kindle books and I have yet to read a lot of them. So for the month of January, well, for the goal is to read 10 of my own Kindle books, and I think I only read 1. No, I read 2. I read 2, and I'm close. 2 to 10, I only got 8 more. My last and final goal for 2026 is to DNF more books, and I I can DNF a book. I have no problems DNFing a book, but to not get so far into the book after I've already said to myself, I'm not gonna like this or I'm not gonna enjoy it. Because sometimes I do still do that just to see if I'm going to, in 20 to 30 pages more, enjoy it. So DNF more books. And for the month of January, I DNF 13. But let's get into the books. So I thought we'd start this with library books. So Stories from the Tenants Downstairs by Sadiq Fofana. This is a short story collection where all of the stories intertwine. I DNF'd this one after the first story. It just didn't gel with me. I will try to pick up something else from this author, but this did not sit with me well. The first story is basically about this young woman who had a child. She moved away from home, and her mom was kind of like, where are you going? What you going to do? And she said, I got it. Don't worry about it. I'm going to do it. And she had a baby by a nonchalant man, okay? And after she had said baby started licking walls that had lead in them. So he's a little off. Um, but she sometimes knows how to handle him, sometimes she doesn't. But she usually overspends because she's trying to keep up with the Joneses. I just felt like choices. We all have choices, and it seems like no matter which way you go, she's making the wrong ones, if that makes sense. So I read I would call this a middle grade to a YA book, but it's The Extraordinary Disappointments of Leopold Berry, Larry Berry. Um, I enjoyed this. I know a lot of people were like, oh my God, nothing happens. It's the excitement of it. It's discovering a new world. So we have Leopold Berry, who has grown up with his mother and his father, and his mother, I believe, passes away. I believe she dies when he was like about maybe 12 or something like that. He meets his best friend and they connect. And he tells his best friend about this story that his mother used to tell him. It was about this world called Sunderworld. It's a made up place, it's a made up thing, and he has videos of it. And he shares with his friend, and they kind of fall into folie à deux, if you know what that means, like a psychosis of two. So his friend's parents are like, okay, I gotta separate this shit. And so he feels like I have to calm this down. Because even though I think it's real, no one else does, and it makes me look like I'm crazy. Until he's about 17, his father is trying to force him into being quote unquote normal. And he starts to see signs from this world. I enjoyed this. I do think it is, like I said, middle grade to YA, but I think Ransom Riggs has something here. I can't wait for the second book to come out. So, you know how earlier I said I had finished 3 series that I had started in previous years? I meant to say 4, so I stand corrected. It's 4 series. So let's get into the 4 series that I finished. I'm not going to go too deep into Pharaoh because there is a video for this. But this is the second and final book in the Wolf Warriors MC romance duology. It's a duology right now. I don't know if she's going to add anything to it. It's Motorcycle Club. It can go on forever because, you know, motorcycle clubs have more than 2 people. But right now there's only 2 books out. I'm happy with that. That means for now I have finished the series. This is basically a second chance without them ever having been together. It's a second chance at a chance to be together. And I enjoyed it. I think I gave it a 4. Next, we have Assist by Alexandria House. I enjoyed this series. This is the St. Louis Sires series. This is a black hockey romance series, and I loved it. This is a black hockey player who kind of feels like he has no one. He was adopted when he was young, and his adoptive mother passed away, and he never knew who his mother or his father was. He just feels alone in the world. And then you have a rapper, and he is one of her biggest fans. When they met in a prior book where he was screaming her name across the room, and she was like, oh, okay, right? So it's cute. I enjoyed it, and this book ends another series. I gave this a 4-star. So we have Dro the Silent Killer. This is the second book in the Boudreaux series, and these are 2 brothers and a cousin. This is the other brother. This brother right here is into the voodoo. At the end of this book, what he does with voodoo is wild. Um, but if you have read the first book in this series, you know this is the second book. So if you've read the first book in the series, you know that they come across like a sex trafficking ring. So in this book, one of the people that he's tasked to help find, he has a protection over. Like he feels very protective over her, and he kind of thinks of her and looks at her in a very special, precious way. He doesn't want to hurt her. He doesn't want anyone else to hurt her. And even in the beginning, even though he's like, I think I might like her, but he's like, I would never do that to her. I would never like infringe my feelings or anything onto her because she's so vulnerable and too vulnerable for that right now, until she asks him, hey, do you like me like that? I don't think you could, but do you? And he tells her, yeah, I do. And this one I think is the cutest. I think this is so freaking cute. I gave this one, I think, a 4-star as well. The final book in this series is Dro the Corporate Assassin. This is the cousin's book. And if you read the first book, you know that this cousin had to do something to his father in the first book because his father went against the mafia family. And he ends up falling for someone he shouldn't. The only thing about this is I gave this a 3 or a 3.5, something like that. This was my least favorite of the 3 books because the FMC was unlikable to me. She was insufferable, a little ditzy, a little dumb. And I didn't like that. The other 2 women in the series are strong for the type of things that they've gone through, the resilience that they had, the support that they needed. And this one, to not have gone through any of that, be bobbleheaded, I didn't like it. I didn't like her. I loved him as a character. I did not like her. And that seems to be a running thing when it comes to romances for me, is that sometimes the FMCs don't hit. When the MMCs don't hit, oh, the romance is trash and she deserves better. But when the FMCs don't hit, it's like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? I don't know, but I gave it a 3. Finally, one of my biggest disappointments, Hearts That Cut by Kika Hatsapulu. And I enjoyed the first one. Yeah, The Threads That Bind was the first one, and I really enjoyed that one. I got that one, I want to say, from Fairy Loot. I enjoyed it so much from beginning to end, and it is YA. This seemed like a separate story, a different story that did not connect the two. It seemed like a different story. Plus, we begin this story so much removed, like something has happened between the end of the first one and the beginning of this one that we are not privy to. So it leaves you a little bit disconnected, disjointed, and I just could not get into this. So I had to DNF it. I will be keeping my first one, but this one, no, DNF. So the special edition that I attempted to read this month is This Monster of Mine, and I have it pulled up on my phone so I can say the author's name correctly, by Shalini Abe Sakara. I hope I'm saying that at least partially correct. And this was a book, I believe it either came from Illumicrate or Fairy Loot. I'll put it on the screen, whichever one it came from. But I didn't like it. I didn't get it. I didn't understand what the magic system was. It didn't make sense to me. I was bored. I was confused. And it was evil for evil's sake, nasty and disgusting for nasty and disgusting sake. It was going to be dark for not saying no reason, because the world is dark. I get that. And I don't mind reading a dark book. But jumping into ripping a young girl apart, literally ripping her apart, but also telling someone, but you can have your way with her when we're done with all of that. What? I was just like, I'm not into it. I wasn't into it. So I DNF'd this Monster of Mine. So that was the one special edition that I got off of my shelves. Y'all, I just had the worst coughing fit. Okay, let's go into the books that are in videos that I'm not going to talk too heavily on, but you can find them in the videos that you'll see on the screen. So, Secluded Cabin, Sleep 6. I got a little bit into this and I DNF'd. I was bored. Also, before I forget, The Last House Guest, I DNF'd as well because it just didn't make any sense to start off with. And I DNF'd. Terry McMillan's Who Asked You. I finished this. This is going to be in a video coming up. So I'm not going to get too much into it. Just know that it's coming up for Black History Month in a video, and I can't wait. But I read this, and this book didn't make me realize that I did not like general fiction or literary fiction, but I don't. I realized that about myself. I just don't like everyday stories. Like, this is my life. Let me write a book about a random person's life and what they go through. I really don't care about it. And it doesn't matter whose life it is. I just don't care. But Terry McMillan, like I said, look out for this and a few of her other books in a video that's coming up real soon. And I gave that book 3 stars. One of Us Knows by Alyssa Cole. Again, I'm not going to go too much into it because it was in a video, but I didn't enjoy this one. I don't like books that use mental health as a plot device, especially in this way. It comes off really lazy. I gave this book 1 star. The Memory Collectors by Deep Meserve, again, in a video. But I gave this one 3 stars. The messaging comes off very heavy-handed. Live every day to its fullest. Those cliche sayings. You can't go backward, just move forward. Those things. And the author's voice is very loud. So it is sci-fi. I would have enjoyed it more had the author's voice not been so pronounced and had a couple of other changes been made, but 3 stars. The Fall of the Order by JC. This is a paranormal thriller that I did not enjoy. I think I gave this a 2.5 star. I love paranormal reads. Give me werewolves, give me bears, give me shapeshifters, give me vampires. You can give me pretty much anything and I will read it. But I just realized while reading this, action-packed. It's like reading Blade as a book, but with no character development. 2.5 stars. Next is Eric LaSalle's Laws of Wrath, a Martyr Maker novel. This is the 2nd book in the series. I have to order the 3rd. And I believe there's only 3. I thought there were 4. I believe there's only 3. But this is really good. I am enjoying this series and I will continue into this series. Again, it's in the video. I suggest you go to it if you want to hear my full thoughts. I believe I gave this a 4, and this one actually brought tears to my eyes. Next is The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. I gave this, what did I give this? A 3.5 to a 4. This, you kind of know, like I kind of predicted who it was going to be, but I love the fact that it throws in so much red herringness to it that it could be that person and it could be that person, but also finding out why it is whoever it is and how did it all end. You know, I enjoy this. I enjoyed this a lot. And I'm going to read The Perfect Divorce, I think it's called, by Geneva Rose. I'm going to pick that up and I'm going to read that as well. First up is You Are Fatally Invited by Andy Pliego. I did not like this book. I think I didn't like the way in which it was told. I think it could have been fun, and I could have enjoyed it better had it been told in a different perspective. I DNF'd this one. 800 Grapes by Laura Dave. This is not my first book by Laura Dave, but this is just general fiction, and it was a hot mess. Not the book itself. There's nothing wrong with the book. The story is absolutely fine. I gave it 3 stars. This story, the story that is inside of this book is a family just in turmoil, and I know a lot of people like that. I just don't care. What is the point of me knowing about this particular family? Don't care. So like I said, I gave this 3 stars. There's nothing wrong with this book. I just did not enjoy it. Next is Family Lore by Elizabeth Acevedo. I did not enjoy this either, and that stings me to my heart because Elizabeth Acevedo, I do love her. I've loved many books by this woman, but this one just didn't hit me in the right place. I know some people love it, some people dislike it. I had to DNF because I just nothing was grabbing me. After I've read from each of the POVs, nothing had grabbed me, so I wasn't going to stay. So I DNF'd. Next is God of Neverland by Gamma Ray Martinez, a Defenders of Lore novel. This is the first book I read in 2026. I gave it 3 stars. That is because this is written by a grown man for adults, but it kind of reads like middle grade. So I did finish it because I am one of those people, when it comes to a retelling, I'm going to do what? I'm going to read it. Okay. Now that we have that established, I read it in its entirety, and it just wasn't enough for an adult story. For a middle grade story, yes, absolutely. But I don't even think this was enough for a YA story, let alone an adult story. So no for me. I will not be continuing in this series, but Gamma Ray might, if he writes anything else, I may look that up. It Should Have Been You by Andrea Mara. This book I also DNF'd. I realized I do not like domestic thrillers, and maybe that's the reason why a lot of them get DNF'd by me. Because waking up one day and one of my neighbors is a murderer, that's not the kicker for me. Is waking up in my neighborhood and realizing that everyone in my neighborhood hates me and would kill me or would set me up for murder or whatever it is. This just wasn't for me. I DNF'd it. Reality Check by Eric Pete. I did not enjoy this. I did not finish it. The story was kind of boring, and it took me a moment to realize that the main female character, the main FMC, was actually an FMC. I don't know why. I think it was the name of the FMC. It sounded like a man's name. What was her name? Glover. And I was like, Glover is a man. Okay, got it. They're calling him girl. Got it. And then I got further in and I said, wait. Glover is a woman. Okay. It just was a lot. It was a lot for me to take in. And when I did realize that Glover was a girl, I still wasn't interested. I had to DNF. Ring Shout by P. Jelle Clark. I gave this a 4.5, I believe. 5 stars? I can't remember, but it was a 4.55 star. This short book was so good. And now I know why there was raving about it. The only thing I can say is that I don't agree that it is, if you liked Sinners, you would like this. 2 sides of the same coin. Let's put it that way. 2 sides of the same coin. Like, yes, the atmosphere is the same. The monsters are not. And the reasons can be akin to being a little bit similar, but not really. I don't know how to explain it, but you can like Sinners and also like this. And I love Sinners, and I actually love this. So there's my take on that. What can I say when there's black vampires involved? But bite me? I don't know. Immortal Dark by Tigis Germa. I don't know. If you dislike this book, can we even be friends? I don't know. I really don't. Because this book, I enjoyed. 4.5 stars. 4.5 stars. I enjoyed this. I really did. And since I own the second one, I will be continuing in this series pretty soon. Pretty soon. You best believe it. Black vampires, dark academia, goth, like the gothic atmosphere. Oh my God, this book was good. This book was good. I hope it continues into the second one. I really do. Our Vicious Oaths by N.E. Davenport. I am happy to say I have finally read from N.E. Davenport because, yes, I've read from Nia Davenport, who is the name that she goes by when she writes other types of stories, but I haven't read her on the fantasy side. This is not YA. Nowhere near it. This is an adult story. It starts off at a brothel, okay? Okay? Get it together. It starts off at a brothel. Have you ever seen Faye with grills? Grills and chains. Yes, that's what this is. This is adult in the best way. I enjoyed this so much. My only regret about this book is that it's not a series. I would love a series, but I do get it. It wrapped it all up in these 500? How many pages was this? It couldn't have been 500. It was. It was. And it's 500, give or take a little bit, pages. It wrapped up the whole entire story. There's no more to give you. But I would have loved if there was. I'm just saying, I would have loved if there was. 5 stars. What do you mean 5 stars? 5 stars, I enjoyed it. Grills and chains. Ah, magic. A queen and a king, give it to me. Faye Court, give it to me. So for the month of January, our Chayan Chapters book club chose Nina on Us as our first book of the year. I enjoyed this so freaking much. 4 stars. It left on a what do you call it? A cliffhanger, and I had no choice. I finished the second one and the third one. All in the month of January, right back to back to back. That's the sign of a good series. When you just can't put it down when you finish, you have to go pick up the next one. That's what I did. I finished all 3 books. I enjoyed each and every one of them, and the last book in the series got a 5 star from me. The first 2 were 4 stars, and the last one got a 5 star. And it is toxic. It is found family. It is growing pains. It is learning how to be emotionally intelligent, finding your person. It has so much maturity in the words and the fact that there was therapy actually used and as a mental health clinical counselor. I love the counselor. I loved her. I loved her. She is me and I am her, right? I loved it. I loved it. I love some toxicity, just a little bit, not a lot. don't do too much. But I love it when it comes into because everyday life can be a little bit toxic, no matter how much. And I love that they figured that shit out. I loved it. So I read a lot of ebooks, and these are the ones that I chose to read in the month of January. I'm only going to speak on a few of them because I can't remember all my thoughts from every single ebook, but I will discuss the ones that I want to speak about, that I want to highlight. So first up is The Trouble with Love by Christina C. Jones. If you don't know, I am going down a rabbit hole of sorts of Christina C. Jones. It's more like a publication order hole. I'm reading her books in publication order. I've read many books from Christina C. Jones. I own some, and I've read some on Kindle, but now, or listened to some on audio. but I want to start from the beginning, so that's what I'm doing. And the one I read this for January was The Trouble with Love, and it's two sisters, twins, fraternal, and they're both going through love trouble. And one knows that they're going through love trouble and one doesn't, and where that lands them in the end. One sister irritated the shit out of me, and the other sister I felt so bad for, but it was a good read. I think I gave it a 3.5. Next is Objection by Beloved. I read so many books by Beloved. This series, this MPWG series, whatever the letters are, it's a law firm of 4 black men who own a black law firm, and they may have dibbled and dabbled in some stuff in the past, but they're on the straight and narrow now, and they are lawyers, and they're great at their jobs, and they are finding love in the midst of all of the drama that they have to deal with when it comes to clients and stuff like that. And I love Beloved as an author because she does some of the most different occupations when it comes to her characters. You have lawyers, you have sommeliers, you have jewelers, you have different things that you don't see highlighted in books, and I love it. In this series is one, this is the first book in that law firm series, and because of this book, I owned this book, I read this book, which continued me to continue into the series. I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. So I also listened to a few audiobooks, strictly audio, this month, and like I did with the ebooks, I'm only going to highlight the one that I found to be entertaining and enjoyable for me, and that would be Listen for the Lie. Listen for the Lie, now I get it. If you only read it physically, I could see why you might not have enjoyed it, but Listen for the Lie audio was really, really good. I gave it 4 stars. I would recommend, if you didn't have such a good time with the physical book, that you do try to listen to it on audio. It does enhance your reading pleasure. It is a podcast kind of story, so there are sounds in the background that enhance the story and things like that that you don't get when you're reading physically. And I think many authors need to think of that when they're doing these podcast stories, because if I get a different experience with your book listening to it than the physical reader does reading it, and I feel like my experience is good and they feel like their experience is bad, there needs to be a way that we can bring those two together so much so that everyone kind of doesn't have exactly the same experience but can appreciate the material in the way that it needs to be appreciated. So I didn't read it physically, I only listened to it, and I had a great time. And here's an audiobook that I despise with my whole heart, okay? Full Figured. Now, this has been on my want to listen to, pick up, or whatever for a very long time, because I'm like, oh, full figured women being loved and cherished and cared for properly. I want to read that. I listened to the very first book on audio, the very first half of the audio. Okay, I had to DNF. I had to finish the first story. I had to, because I was just so invested on figuring out what the point of Full Figured is. And I think I figured it out. Men often take advantage of skinny, pretty women, but there is a plethora of pretty fat women that they can also take advantage of if they only, broaden their horizons. You can also have fat people to degrade and hurt and demolish and drag through the mud, and they will take it because they're fat. That's what I got. I don't know about anybody else. That's what I got. Horrible. So I did not rate it. I gave it, well, I didn't give it anything. I DNF'd. I didn't get to the second story on that audio because what even was this? This year, let's say I started this year off with 586 unread TBR books. Yeah, I did. But with the reading that I did in January, the DNFing included, the unhauling included, I, in the month of January, with 564 books. That also includes any adding of books I did in January as well. So 564, that means I went down 20 books. And I'm happy for that. I went down 20. Even though I added some, I went down. I'll take it. So that is my January wrap up. Please let me know if you've read any of these books. What do you plan to read for February? Also, happy Black History Month, because when you're seeing this, we will be in February. But let me know. What's your next read? What was your favorite read of January? I think my favorite read of January would have been the On Us series, Our Vicious Oaths, and Immortal Dark. Those are my 3 favorites for January. Let me know yours down below, and I'll definitely see you in the next one. Bye!